Super Bowl ads leave a whole lot of people laughing, sometimes thinking, sometimes in tears. Next, we're going to talk about some of the ones that you're going to see first on Fox 5 during the big Super Bowl game this Sunday.
Countdown to the Super Bowl is underway, and a lot of people gearing up for the big game, whether it's watching the football on Fox 5 or you're excited about the commercials. Either way, it's a time of the year where people are not really trying to push fast forward. And luckily, you don't have to wait until Sunday.
Kipp, Monroe, the executive creator, director at WHITE64 Branding and Marketing Agency, is here now to preview a few commercials and give his top picks. It's always good to see you.
It's good to see you guys.
Happy Super Bowl.
Happy Super Bowl to you. It's on Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah.
So with all these commercials being released early, if Puxatawny Phil doesn't see all the commercials, do we get 6 more weeks of winter? That's my question.
We get 6 more weeks of commercials.
Of good new commercials.
Okay.
Before we talk about some of the funny ones, the ones that touch us, Michael Bloomberg, a presidential candidate, is also taking out airtime. And so this is unprecedented, right?
Well, it is. Trump and Bloomberg both have spots. Yeah. As I understand it, Trump has 2 30-second spots back-to-back, and Bloomberg has a 60-second spot about gun violence. You know, I've seen what they've put out so far, and I have to say Bloomberg's kind of done a good job of connecting emotionally, which is what you want to do with the Super Bowl. It's a story about a mom who lost her son to gun violence. Yeah. It's a really touching commercial. And it's kind of the coming out party for Bloomberg, and I think it's a really smart move for him.
So here, I'm going to ask you to put on your prognosticator Puxatawny Phil cap. Does it help him at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
You know, I think this stage of the Super Bowl is one in which I think Americans will see Trump and Bloomberg, you know, against each other, and I think that can only help his campaign nationally.
On the flip side of things, I saw one of the ads that President Trump is putting out, which really just serves as some talking points as to what he's accomplished in the last several years. Does he need to do that at this point? Is it good for him to put his money on this particular stage?
I think so. I think, look, I mean, Trump obviously is a media guy. He understands that there's 100 million people watching the Super Bowl, so it's a great stage and platform for him as well to kind of get his candidacy and his talking points out there. So, yeah, we live in a day and age where we're going to see more politics in things like the Super Bowl.
Let's talk about things that we're more used to now.
Okay.
So we've seen this one. Let's start. We're just going to get into some of the ads out there. The first one, we previewed it before, but this MC Hammer can't touch this Cheetos ad.
I feel a little guilty and embarrassed that my favorite commercial is so cheesy. No pun intended.
Touch this.
MC Hammer, this red dust on your hands is called Cheeto dust. Yeah. And this great spot kind of makes the point that you just can't touch things once you've had Cheetos popcorn. Great idea, great execution, funny. And a good use of celebrities. You see a lot of celebrities this year. Almost, I think they're going to set a record for number of celebrities in a Super Bowl.
How much does in this ad in particular, the nostalgia factor, because obviously it affects people of our generation with MC Hammer, maybe some of the younger folks. I don't know if it helps or not, but does that nostalgia factor come into play?
It might. There could be nostalgia, but to me, I mean, who hasn't had that experience where you put your hand in a bag of Cheetos and you get the red dust? To me, the idea is more about the actual product and, again, connecting emotionally with that experience.
We're all used to the Budweiser commercials. What do we expect from them this year?
Well, nobody knows how to do a Super Bowl commercial better than Budweiser. And this year, they're doing a spot called Typical Americans. And I think it's not political, but it is patriotic, and it kind of, regardless of where you fall, it kind of reminds us all that we're Americans, and that's the thing we have in common, and it's a pretty remarkable and great thing. It's a wonderful commercial.
My quick question is, I thought it was interesting how they sort of, and I've been looking for that word to describe it, but it almost comes off as snarky, like, look at them, they're always showing off, but then you see, like, them, not in this particular case, but maybe the American flag. So it's basically, a little irony. Do you think that works?
Yeah, I do. I think it does.
Okay.
Because I think if it was so, forthright, it would be a little heavy-handed.
Right.
So a little bit of humor in there kind of helps that.
I want to combine a couple here, Kipp, before we wrap things up. The Amazon Alexa and the avocados from Mexico, more of the celebrity impact with both of these.
Well, the Alexa spot, the Amazon spot, debuted on The Ellen Show. And that just sort of, underscores how important it is for these brands to really do the pregame buzz creation, the game, and then after. And Ellen and her audience, she's an amazing influencer, really amplified the awareness of that spot and that brand. So great move for Amazon.
So what do you think is, we wrap things up, what's the most memorable thing that a company can do? Is it the celebrity who's in the ad? Is it the play on like the can't touch this? Or is it cute puppies or, you know, the Budweiser dogs that are out there? What's the one thing that can be a memorable little tick, I guess, to get out there?
Just connect with a good idea. I mean, there's a lot of funny commercials. There's the Porsche commercial we'll maybe talk about. The Google commercial, you know, it does, you know, it touch you emotionally. So if you connect emotionally and your brand can resonate and benefit from that, that's really what you're trying to do.
And what doesn't work?
Something that's not funny, something that tries too hard and doesn't work.
Like puppy, monkey, whatever it was.
Well, no, I actually thought that was
You
pretty
like
funny.
that, Kipp?
I kind of did, yeah.
What was it? Puppy, monkey, what?
Baby.
Baby.
You know, but it was sort of an inside advertising kind of
maybe that's why
commercial, so
we
that's
didn't
probably
get
why
it.
I liked
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Oh
But
my gosh.
overall this year, a lot of strong commercials. It's going to be a good year.
Big
a lot of
risks for
buzz.
$6 million plus, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Man, that
Thanks,
Google
Kipp.
commercial. I need to know when that's airing. I don't need to see that one. That is so sad. Okay. All righty. Kipp Monroe,
right.
thank you.
Yeah, more coming up on Good Day, too, when we talk about the commercials, so stick around for that. So besides the game, the commercials is really what a lot of people tune in to watch. They want to see, you know, who they can talk about the next morning, right? Monday after the game. So what can we expect from some of the big names out there this year? Well, Kipp Monroe, the executive creative director at WHITE64 Branding and Marketing, is back with us once again this year. Regular guest when it comes to Super Bowl commercials. Do you have a favorite of all time?
No, I don't. I mean, I like so many of them that it would be hard for me to pick.
That's the nice thing is we refresh them every year, right, to get back to some of the favorites. And each year we come up with.
Well, this year, you know, the Super Bowl's always been big for brands, but this year I feel like, you know, they ran out of inventory. They sold out immediately right after they put the Thanksgiving sale. They were out, so they had to add more spots. There was more Super Bowl spots this year than ever before.
So before we get into some of these ads, so Fox sold out the Super Bowl, like you said, back in November. So do the companies buy the time first and then figure out what they're going to do, or are they saying a year in advance, this will be our ad for next year?
Well, they're planning early. They're doing creative probably in the summer. They're starting to look at ideas and test ideas. So they've got that machine rolling very early. But they buy the spots more toward the fall. That's really when the selling starts for the ads.
All right, let's talk about some of the specific ads. And we ran through a few last hour, and we'll revisit some of the top ones. But I want to get to some of the ones first that we didn't get to before. Sure. Porsche, they're showing off a new car. How are they doing this, and is it effective?
Well, you know, production value, you know, is one of the things you have to bring to Super Bowl commercials. You have to spend on production. And this spot with the Porsche new Taycan electric vehicle is a chase scene. And who doesn't like a good car chase scene? And they've done a remarkable job of really portraying this new vehicle. It's fun to watch. It's a 60-second spot.
Oh, okay. So they went in for $12 million plus on this one.
Well, more than that, really. By the time you get production and everything, yeah.
Okay. Doritos, Cool Ranch.
Cool Ranch. Well, Doritos always, you know, they're one of those brands that just shows up and delivers at the Super Bowl. Lil Nas X, Sam Elliott, they've got this little Western theme with the Cool Ranch, and there's a dance-off in the spot you'll see on the Super Bowl. They had a nice teaser with Sam Elliott doing the lyrics to Old Town Road, which was funny too. So they really kind of own the pregame on social media, the game, and then the follow-up as well.
The biggest song from last year, the celebrity aspect, should be memorable.
Right.
Microsoft, does theirs work?
Yeah, I do. Katie Sowers, the first female football coach to coach in an NFL game. It's a really powerful human interest story. You really connect with her when you watch the spot. It's not funny, but it is a really emotionally powerful spot. So yeah.
She's with one of the teams a lot of people will be invested in when they watch the game. Heinz, what's Heinz doing this year?
Well, they have a couple commercials in the game. But the one I think is most interesting, I mean, everybody's a lot of times trying to think of a gimmick to increase viewership. Heinz has a spot where it's a 4-frame commercial, and there's really 4 commercials going on at once.
That work?
Well, you're going to have to go back and watch it 4 times if you want to figure out what's going on.
That goes back to YouTube and everything else, where you can go rewatch.
You know, usually those kind of gimmicks don't work, but in this case, I do think that they're going to reinforce the Heinz brand pretty well with this.
We talked last time about nostalgia. Budweiser has a couple of ads too. One of them takes us back in time.
Right. You know, you asked about my favorite spot. It might have been the What's Up commercial with that Budweiser did years ago, the What's Up. They've done a sequel to that where they're featuring smart devices inside of a home talking to one another. And it's a safe driving, drive responsibly commercial, but it's really well done. It's a good idea.
Well, that's something they did before.
Right.
Okay, before we wrap things up, let's go back to what you thought was at the top. We addressed it earlier this morning for folks who weren't tuning in then. You love the Cheetos ad.
Well, I do. I mean, it is a cheesy. It's introducing Cheetos popcorn, and they've got this red finger Cheeto dust that they're debuting with MC Hammer, and it's just funny. You laugh at it. It's a good vibe commercial. So I thought they did a good job with that. Same company that does Doritos, so it's really, you know.
And they go off, they play off the whole "Can't Touch This" theme with MC Hammer.
Can't touch this.
So, you know, Kipp, in a nutshell, when you look at these ads, and we've talked about this every year, I think. Putting them out there in advance for the people as we get more and more into the online generations, does it work? Does it not work? Do we still like the surprise factor of seeing something for the first time?
You really build anticipation, and it costs so much that brands have to do it. You know, they have to kind of either do a teaser campaign or release the spot. So it's, you know, I heard the Super Bowl referred to recently as the last remnant of the television industrial complex. 120 million people are going to engage with the game. 70 million people will look at it through social media. It's that time of year where brands really can elevate their position. Yeah, and they do.
Going to have to wrap things up and send it back to the guys upstairs. But the last thing I want to ask you, have you heard anything more about the Mr. Peanut? I know that they had some changes because of Kobe Bryant.
Right.
Are they still going to have an ad on the game?
Well, what I'm hearing is they're going to run the original ad, which is, you know, about the death of Mr. Peanut. Unfortunately, kind of a bad luck situation for them. You know, Mr. Peanut was going to die in a crash, and it coincided with the Kobe Bryant tragedy. So I don't know. I will have to see what they do, what they elect to do with that.
All right. A couple political ads, too, which is new this time around. So we'll see if that pays off.
Yep.
Thanks, Kipp. Enjoy the ads, and we'll debrief on Monday. Guys, back up to you in the loft.
All right, sounds good. Thank you both.